Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
So Houston, what intrigues you most about the topic of our next unit? Why don't you answer that question in your notes? Oceanography. This class is called GMO. Geology, meteorology, and oceanography. We're going to start talking about oceanography. Oceanography. The oceans are one of the most fascinating things on the planet. There's even oceans on other planets. Talk about that later. Oceans, oceans, oceans. The oceans take up 71% of the surface of the Earth. That's a lot of space. 71%. We don't know much about the oceans in many ways. We know a lot more about the land because, of course, it's very difficult. You know, you can go to the edge of the ocean, you know, or go to Galveston or something, but to really go out, big boats, storms, deep waters. It's said that we know more about the surface of the moon than we know about the depths of the ocean. And it turns out that most of the oceans aren't equally distributed. So if we look around the world, there's a lot less oceans in the northern hemisphere than there is in the southern hemisphere. Take a look at this diagram. And of course, we're kind of on the edge. We're still in the northern hemisphere, of course, but the oceans take up so much of the Earth, and yet they're crazy fascinating. Another thing that we look at when we think about the oceans is you just go to Galveston again, and you're just going to look at the ocean. It looks the same. I've been to beaches in Dubai. I've been to beaches in China and Taiwan. The oceans kind of look the same. In Australia, they look a lot the same. But when you really look out, the truth is that they may look the same, but there's so much crazy differences when we start looking at oceans. Especially when we start looking at the depths of the ocean. Do you know how deep the oceans are? Well, they're deep. And most scientists, hundreds of years ago, they thought the oceans were all uniformly deep. And of course, we found out that wasn't true. You know what the average depth of the oceans is? 12,234 feet. 12,000 feet down. That's the average. Some places are crazy deeper, and of course, some quite shallow. You know the average elevation of a continent is? 2,756 feet. So the point is that the oceans are deeper than the continents are high. Think about that for a moment. So there's a lot of, if you were to take all the water off the Earth, we would see a huge amount of, we say, relief or elevation difference as we look around the Earth. And of course, we've got some big oceans in the world, and just I'm sure most of you know this, but just in case you don't, the biggest ocean, we're going to go from big to small, is the Pacific. The Pacific Ocean is by far the biggest ocean. And then the Atlantic, and then the Indian, and then the Arctic. So really, 4 major oceans. There'd be a debate about what you would call Arctic, I think is how you spell that. How you define them, because they're kind of all connected, right? And these are the big ocean basins that we talk about when we talk about the oceans. So welcome. Welcome to our beginning of the study of oceanography, the study of the oceans. Houston, you got this. We'll see you in class.